Hello! In this video I'm going to talk about API layer provided by TBM and allowing you to communicate with TBM database without using any UI, but by implementing some custom applications. So API should be installed on the server, on the same server where main TBM application is installed, and it should have it is installed as separate application, so it should have separate URL address. And if to check an example here, I'm using some instance installed on old ibex.com server named api.ibex.com. And when API is correctly installed, and when you open this API address in the browser, you just get this single page which lists all the endpoints provided by API. And this page also allows to authorize and play with API just in this browser window. Let's say a few words about installation of API layer. Let me open my server virtual machine here in the window and explain how installation is done. You get installation package like this, Trados Business Manager API. You run it and install in some separate folder on your hard drive. And then you get this structure. For example, I have installed it on C, initpub, apps, API. And we get this these contents. There are some DLLs and config files and etc. And then you follow the default procedure of adding this folder to your IIS manager. So you create a new website, new application pool, link this website with path where application is installed. You create application pool, go to a pool, TBM API, and here, and in the advanced settings you select net version, and that's all. So then it is mandatory to go to application settings, go to bindings, and add HTTPS binding and link it with your certificate installed on the server, because API should work through secured connection. So that's the whole process, and then let me collapse and return to the browser, and this way you should get sorry, I forgot to mention the main thing. Well, there is one step which should be manually done to make API working correctly, because when you install API, it is separate application, and we have to specify connection parameters for this application. What you need to do, you have to open folder where your main TBM application is installed. You have to find app settings global JSON file and just copy it to folder where API is installed. This file contains your configuration to database. Let me just open it, and here you will find connection strings and this TBM tenant and connection string here where we specify host name and database name and etc. So this way API will know where database is stored, and only after that, if application is running, you can restart application pool, and then you should get this correctly working. And then on this page you can start testing API endpoints, and to do that you need to authorize. To get authorization key, you have to find logon endpoint here somewhere in this list, and we need to use this post endpoint, logon post, to correctly log in into the system. To check a login status, you can use get endpoint, click try it out, click execute, wait a little, and here you can see that we get an error, you are not logged in. Let's try to log in and see how it works. To do that, I expand logon endpoint, try it out, and here we have to specify tenant, username, and password. Then I click execute. And after execution of this method, I get response like OK or error. If password is provided incorrectly, we will get error. Otherwise, we get access token and username. We have to copy this access token, Ctrl+C, and scroll this page up and click authorize. And here we should paste our token, but in this manner. We write bearer, space, and then paste. And then click authorize. And we get logged in into the system. I click close, scroll down to logon endpoint and click execute again. And now we get is authenticated through in the response body of our request. So now we can talk to our database, to view data, to edit data, and do all the operations which are allowed by our API. Let's try something. Let's try to find, for example, unit endpoint, and under unit endpoint we see a number of operations supported by this endpoint. We can get list of units, we can get particular unit, etc. We can create new units or edit existing units, delete units, and get search units by name. Let's try something. I expand get list, and here we have few parameters: optional search string, page number, and page size. Let's leave default values here, click execute, wait a bit, and in the response we get some response body, JSON contents with list array, which contains information about our units which we have in the database. So you can see that we have flat rate, we have hours, we have pages, some strange unit name, words, etc. To understand how to deserialize this response, you can go to scroll down a little lower, and here you will find example value or model buttons, which allows you to understand the structure of the response. And if we will switch to model or to example value, you can find all the fields which will be returned by this operation. And if we will switch to the model and expand unit DTO, we can find some more detailed information about structure of these entities. So we have name, which has string type, adjustment factor is decimal, is time is boolean, and base unit is linked to another entity type, like unit DTO light. So base unit will contain another object of type unit DTO but light, so it contains only ID and name of a unit. And unit weights is nested table containing some information with objects of type unit weight item DTO, and each record will contain ID, unit, service type, and adjustment factor. So, like that, and some description. Adjustment factor means fuzzy weight. This is how it works, and let's, for example, check find words, copy ID of this unit and collapse get list of units, and let's try to get some unit by ID. I click try it out, and under ID parameter I insert ID, which I already know from list of units, click execute, and here I get a single unit with this ID. Another way to find a unit, I expand unit, get unit by name, and provide words here as a parameter, click execute, and application API returns us the same unit. Then I can, for example, you can see that name is words, name localized one is parola, probably it's Spanish one, and name L2 and L3 is null. Let's try to edit this unit. What I do, I copy these contents, and let's go to unit patch. We will need to provide ID of unit which we want to edit, and then contents of values of all fields in our record. And we need to copy probably again where it is. So we want to edit name, and this way I will copy this and insert it here. I will not touch unit weights. Let's even remove it from here, from the body. And let's say we want to have for name L2, we want to use localized value 2. And ID of our unit will be this one. So I copy this value here and insert it here. So, and I try to execute and get response that's all okay. Response code is confirmed, and our request was executed correctly, and now we have localized value in the L2. And let's try to get information about words. A unit using this endpoint unit name. So I click execute here again, and now our response body contains correct value in this field. And if I will try to go to my instance, sorry, probably it should be TBM API, and let's try to open list of units here after it will be loaded for the first time. And let's go to units, and under words, for the words unit, we find that our correction was implemented correctly. In the same manner, I was showing this with simple entity type with units, but in the same manner, if we will go to, for example, documents, translation jobs, you can see that we have a lot of operations supported for translation jobs. We also can get list of jobs, we can create new jobs, we can patch existing job. In the same manner, we can delete jobs, and also we can upload files to job. We can download zip archive with list of specified file IDs. We can delete files. We can add new messages to translation jobs, new entities to checklist. We can delete rows from checklist, from tasks, from receivables, from workload planner. So a lot of operations listed under each endpoint. And here I have to note that this is API is just the first version, and currently it supports not probably limited list of operations, but it just supports basic operations like creation of some data, editing, deleting, uploading files, etc. But for example, if we have a quote and we want to accept it, we do not have like accept and operation for quote ID, and probably this we have accept, but not very good example. But for other examples like which one we can imagine. For example, we want to create an invoice over some translation job, and we want to provide a list of job IDs to API, and API will create an invoice based on provided list of IDs. There is no such operation implemented, and we will be grateful for all suggestions and advices which endpoints you need additionally in your circumstances, your real scenarios. This page allows to play with API, but it provides some basic instruments, tools to play with API. And as you know, there are specific software exists which allows to test API, to implement much more complex scenarios. And for example, I have Postman installed, Postman application, which is specific application to work with APIs, and probably in near future we will upload some library for TBM API, which already will contain main information about endpoints and examples how to use one or another endpoint. And here, as an example, I have already created logon operation. Let's check it. TBM API abex.com. I was testing it locally. Now let's try to change it to real URL. And under body, we have to specify correct password, like that. And then when I click send, probably need not TBM API but API ibex.com, send, could not get response, incorrect URL here, send again. Okay, and we get access token, but now I will not be copying it because under tests tab we parse response body and save access token, and now I can just select some reference data, for example, customers, get customers, and let's change URL as well. And I just click send, and I will successfully retrieve a list of customers from API without need to copy access token because it was saved automatically. And as a private library I have created, and as I said, it will be shared someday. We have a catalog of all or some part of reference data entries, and we can quickly test API by, for example, searching a customer which name contains cap, like in this example. And if I will send this request, I get list of customers with where name contains cap. So I suppose it will be only one customer, and you can see in response that total items is 1, and in the list I can find necessary customers with their IDs, and then using this ID column I can use it to create, for example, translation projects. And when we post a request to create a project, we should specify customer by ID. So now I know this ID and can include it in the request body, and this way new translation projects, jobs, quotes can be created for this particular customer. So this is I just tried to show which approach to use to start working with API, what ID field means, and how to work with endpoints. So we have this Swagger UI. You can scroll through all available object types and get detailed information about operations supported in each endpoint, and then you can expand any operation and check which data is supported, which parameters are supported, and which types of responses can be provided by one or another operation. So hope it was helpful, and API will be developed and it will be growing, and we plan to add as many operations as possible in future. But for now it looks like this, and it already allows you, for example, to create absolutely customized application working with TBM database without even need to touch main application, because all objects and all like reference data types, documents, and etc. are supported here, except maybe reports. Reporting is not supported by API, only working with actual data which you can retrieve in your custom application and then build some custom reports based on that information. So, alright, that's all the basic information about API. Thank you for watching and see you in next videos. Bye bye.